Alright folks, so project today here, Steve's car garage, is we're going to try to replace this upper radiator hose. We just did the water pump the other day, but we didn't do the hose, and it's starting to crack a little bit here. This is the water pump. Water pump pushes everything down, goes to the radiator, drifts down, and the pressure pulls it back up. Goes through the thermostat, opens it up, brings it around the engine, and you wind it back over here. So we had to get rid of the air intake setup on this Saturn Aura. And they basically have these clips that come from the factory to hold it in place. You got one here. I don't know if you can see that in there, but we got another clip down inside there. Yeah, you can see it perfectly. So we have to get those two clips off. You could go ahead and use a screwdriver to pry this open, but if you guys can tell, there's already some fluid coming out, some coolant, so you need to go ahead and put a bucket or some way to catch all this coolant. Otherwise you're going to have to get new coolant. You might as well just use the stuff you already have. Sometimes you can just wiggle these off and they come off. What the key is, you have to get it past the metal part. So it's about right there. The metal part, you can feel it with your finger, about right there. So we're past it with this clip here. Like I said, we'll do the other clip down there. What I've done in the past with older hoses like this is, once you have the two clips off there, you know you can deal with what you're dealing with, just cut it with a razor blade, yank it off, but make sure you have your bucket underneath there to catch all the coolant. Otherwise you're gonna have to put new coolant, and we just put some coolant in there, so why waste all the money on that? So yeah, we'll do that, and we'll get this part of the hose down here. Very simple procedure. The new hoses, they don't come with this little plastic heat shield thing. You can just slide this one over the new one and you'll be fine. And again, that's kind of what it is, but you're gonna have to go ahead and put a thing underneath here to catch this coolant, because it's already starting to drip down, if you guys can see that as I'm moving the hose. So don't cut this with a razor blade to pull this off and then realize you can't get the other one off, then the car is undrivable. So I'm going to go to the other side and pull this off of over here, and then that'll be the two clamps for the upper radiator hose. Hey guys, so continuing this job, I did wind up taking out the whole air intake box so I can get it in here, because initially some coolant was leaking out of here and was going into the intake box, and I really don't want that. So we got that out of here. What you want to do is, you're using this pair of channel lock pliers here, and I pulled off the old clip that they use from the factory off of here. From over here, this setup, it's pretty easy to get to, so we'll use that one. But for underneath, we're going to go ahead and use one of these with the screwdriver. So when we pull that other one out with the channel locks, we're going to put this one in here with the screwdriver. It's going to be much easier. So all you do with that is you wind up putting it on the hose before you go ahead and put the hose in its place, and then you just use a screwdriver to tighten it, because the factory ones are cheaper and easier to use, but they're also very difficult to put on, but they're very difficult to squeeze. They're very tight. And you just remember to take that off, and you take off this little heat shield part right here that kind of goes right around here, and put that onto the new hose. So we're at the point where we have the top part off. I did put a bucket underneath to catch some of the fluid, and there's more coolant stuff right there, so you got to be aware of that. So now we'll go ahead and we'll take this one off here, and we're done with that. I'll show you guys how we're putting the new hose back on. All right folks, so like I promised you, we went ahead and we took off the hose, and now we have the new hose, right? So the new hose looks just like the old hose. And we put on this little heat shield thing. So now we're going to go ahead under here, and we're going to pop the new hose into there, and then this one will pop in over here. And when we go for the one down beneath, we're going to put this type of screwdriver driven clamp as opposed to the ones where you have to do the pliers. That was a really hard part in getting this one out. Just got to make sure when you do this, people, that you put the clip on the hose before you put the hose on the radiator. Then put the hose on the radiator and like, oh, where's the clip? Oh, the clip's over here. Then I got to take it off again. So put that on there, get it pointing the way you want it. Then we'll put that on there, and then we'll just go ahead and we'll use the factory clip like we had over here. Put this over here, and then we got some coolant over here. I got a little bit of dirt in there. I'm going to run a piece of cheesecloth in there to go ahead and strain that out of there. And then we'll put everything back together and start the car up and check for leaks. All right, folks, another segment of this video here. So we went ahead and replaced the upper radiator hose on the Saturn Aura XR. And this is the new hose. We use the factory clip. All you really do with that is you just take a pair of channel locks and you just squeeze it, and then you put it on there. This is pretty easy setup out here because you have lots of room. I took away the air intake box, but down here it was a real pain in the butt to get the part out. So we basically went ahead and used a part where you can go ahead and screw it in with a screwdriver. Hopefully you can see that with the clippers right there. Yeah, you can see the screwdriver. So we basically took a screwdriver, and you got to make sure that you put this on, you know, as far as it can go. So here it's got on the inlet housing, so it's on as far as it can go. You can kind of feel with your thumb. It's right there. So this is basically in the middle of that. So you have this all the way on. You have this middle, keeps the pressure, keeps a nice seal so the fluid doesn't come out. And then you do the same on this side. All right, folks. So continuing with this project of replacing the radiator hoses, we did the upper one, and now we got the lower one. Hooks into the radiator right around there, and hooks in right around the thermostat. This is the new one. It's a Gates. Gates is basically one of the most famous brands. And basically you're putting this other piece of plastic around it that was on the old one. I think it basically serves as kind of like a little bit of a heat shield and such. And that's the old hose. That's more of our old fluid. So we just double check, make sure. So it's the same thing. This is going to go on here, and that's going to go on there. I got my clip. I'm going to have to use the factory clips for both of this one, because like I told you guys before, I had this other one, and that's a screw-on type. But this one here is the factory clip. So we have to use the factory clips on both sides, and that was a real pain in the butt to get out with this channel lock. Hopefully it won't be quite so bad putting it on, because I control the angle at which it goes on as opposed to it pointing the wrong direction last time. But we're getting there, folks. Radiator hoses, upper and lower. Car's got 146,000 miles. All right, folks. So as you can see, we're done. There's the new hose for the upper. I'm still using the old clip. I actually decided to go back to the old clip on here. If you can see that, probably can't. And up here we did the old clip up there with the new hose. We got the plastic protecty thingy, and down here for this one is the one that I actually went ahead and decided to use the one that screws in, because from access it was better. And then you put everything back together, intake, all that stuff back together, and we filled it up with coolant. We're going to go ahead and start it and then back it up to a place where there's nothing on the ground, and then we'll double check for leaks. But I'm fairly confident that I did a good job.